Hey guys, so I'm going to be talking about War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I am specifically going to be talking about Volume 1 because that's as far as I've gotten. I am only on Volume 2. The beginning of this is going to be spoiler-free because I'm going to talk about just how I like the writing and how I like this particular translation in general, and the things I like about the story overall so far without getting into plot details. But then I will warn you guys when I'm about to go spoilery, and you can leave if you haven't read it, which I'm very sorry about, or you can stay here if you have read it, or if you haven't read it and you don't care about getting spoiled, that's fine, but personally, I would recommend not watching after I talk about spoilers, but that's just me. So anyway, let's talk about what I love overall. I love this writing, and the thing is, I don't know if it's this translation or if it's actually Tolstoy's writing translated, that I love so much, because I don't know if Pever and Volkonsky took Volokonsky, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but I don't know if they took super liberties with this and glorified it to make it super pretty, or if they just basically translated the beauty that was already in Tolstoy's writing into English. I don't know, because I haven't read the original Russian version of War and Peace. So, I don't know, but I am choosing to believe that it is Tolstoy's original beautiful work, just that they kept the beauty in the translation, I guess. I don't know. But I love it. I think that the descriptions and the dialogue are gorgeous. That is why I have 20 or so tabs in Volume 1, just with the descriptions and the dialogue. It is gorgeous, and the emotions that he describes are perfect. The way he describes emotions, especially emotions of young men going to war, I can't say from experience that I know that that's supposed to be how it is, or how it was, but it seems like that's exactly how they're supposed to be feeling, if that makes sense. And just the way he describes it is so beautiful and heartbreaking at the same time. I almost cried several times. At one point, I feel like I did tear up a little. It's amazing, and his ability to put some of this into words just kind of blows my mind a little. And again, like, that's the problem, is I don't know if it's the translation or Tolstoy, and I am choosing to believe that it is Tolstoy. It's wonderful. And something else that I specifically know that I love about this translation is the fact that they leave a lot of the French in, instead of translating it, which I really appreciate, because I took 6 years of French between high school and college, and now it's been about 4 years since I've taken a French class. And so what I have been doing is I've been reading the French lines and then going down and reading the footnotes, that are the English translation of it, instead of just reading the footnote, and it's helped me to figure out what I remember and what I need to brush up on. And it's very interesting, because at some points I've been pretty spot on with the translation when I'm translating it in my head when I'm just reading the French. And then at other times, when I read the English translation, it's like the opposite of what I thought it was or something. So that's been really interesting to see what I need to go back and brush up on with my French. But it's been fun, because I love the French language. I think it's beautiful. So yeah, that's been great. But I heard that that was kind of controversial that they left in a lot of the French because I'm sure that they had a system as translators. I'm sure that they figured out a system of what to leave in the original French and what to translate. Because for some of the lines, they do directly translate them into English rather than doing the original French and a footnote. I'm sure they did have a system, but some people, when I was reading reviews, some people thought that it made it a bit choppy for them to leave in the French, and only leave it in at certain places. And for me personally, I liked it. I have liked it the way they did it, but my one issue so far is that at some point there's a letter from Napoleon to his troops, and that was fully translated into English, and I personally think that that should have been left in French. I know that it was rather long, so I think that's why they translated it into English directly instead of doing the French and the footnote, but to me, if anything should be kept in the original French, it should be a French man writing to his French troops. But again, that might just be me. I don't know. But so far, that was my only problem with the leaving the French in and deciding what to translate and all that. Other than that, I've really enjoyed it. So that's what I think of the writing. I love the French translations that they've left in. I mean, the French writing that they've left in. And I love the descriptions and the dialogue. I think it is all beautiful. Story-wise, I'm very sorry. Sorry, that was my coffee. I just heard it beep. My bad. But story-wise, sorry, you guys gotta go. If you haven't read it yet, get out of here. I still love you guys, but you gotta go. If you have read it, please stay and listen. Okay, so characters. I'm really loving Natasha and Sonia so far. They are both actually much younger at the start than they usually are in the translation. I mean, not translations, adaptations, like for TV. Granted, I've only seen like 2 of them, and one of them I don't even think I watched all the way through because I started watching the Audrey Hepburn one, but my favorite of all time that will probably never change is the 2007 adaptation, and it could be that they're as young as they're supposed to be in that adaptation, but they don't tell you they are. I feel like they're both around 16, 17 when that adaptation starts, and here they're like 13, 14. So they are a bit more immature than you think they are, which is fine because they're quite young in this. And I do really like both of their characters, especially because they are really described well and portrayed as not only being sisters, because Sonia's technically not Natasha's sister, she's a ward of the family, but they basically feel like sisters and are sisters to each other. So that was described really well, and also they're both portrayed very well for their age. They both are slightly immature. Sonia is more mature than Natasha, I will say that, I think, but I think that's because she's supposed to be like a year older. So I really like both of them, which is great because I love them both in the adaptation. The interesting thing is that there is a 4th Rostov sibling in the book that is not in the adaptation that I've seen. In the adaptation, the 3 Rostov siblings are Petya, Natasha, and Nikolai, and then Sonia is the adoptive sister. In the book, we have Sonia, the adoptive sister, and then Nikolai, Natasha, Petya, and Vera. Vera is supposed to be the older sister, and I can kind of see why she got cut out of the adaptation. I'm sort of surprised because this adaptation was so long that they left in a lot of the story, but I wouldn't have expected an adaptation that long to cut out a character in one of the main families. but I can kind of see why, because she is very antagonistic, but kind of pointless. Like, she shows up just to antagonize every once in a while, and then you don't see her again. So, yeah, I can kind of see why she was taken out. I don't really care about her as a character at all. So far with the parents, with Count Rostov and his wife, I like them okay, but I found them much more interesting in the adaptation so far. It could be that once I get further into the book, I will like them more. They'll come up more and I'll start to like them more. But right now they're just kind of boring in the book. As for Nikolai, I kind of feel the same way about him at the start of the book as I did in the start of the adaptation, which is he's very loving towards his sisters, which is great. He's pretty adorable. But he's also very selfish and very reckless when it comes to money. Because he's basically, like, he thinks that the family is still super rich and doesn't realize, like, what his parents have gone through in order to keep the family afloat. At one point, I think it says that every place that they have has been remortgaged again in order for him to be able to buy his army wardrobe, or something like that. And that it bothers me, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, he is a kid. Like, he is still, like 18 years old, maybe? I forget how old he is when he goes into battle. But, yeah, so I'm sort of torn on him in the beginning, but if it goes like the adaptation goes, then I think his character will grow on me, and he will mature a lot as the story goes on. So right now I'm like a little bit on the fence with Nikolai. I'm disliking him slightly more than I'm liking him, but hopefully that'll get better. Who else? Andre? Oh, I don't know what to think about Andre, because in the TV series, I pretty much like him as soon as he comes on screen, but I mean, that could just be because the actor playing him is super cute. I don't know. But in the book, he kind of, I don't know, he kind of bothers me a little bit at first. But hopefully, again, like, hopefully he'll grow on me as a character, because I really love the love story between him and Natasha. So, yeah, I hope that he does grow on me more. I still like him, definitely, especially at the very end of Volume 1. I like him a lot, because he sort of has something happen to him that helps change his perspective and change kind of what he feels is important in life, and I thought that was really great. So, yes. I like him more towards the end of Volume 1, but at the beginning I was struggling a little bit with him. Pierre's a character who I always feel sorry for throughout pretty much the whole adaptation and in Volume 1 of the book. I think he has a good heart. I do. But I think he makes entirely the wrong decisions and is being led by, is letting himself be led by the wrong people, which ends up making him very hard-hearted. And I'm very sorry, because I just realized that I think what I just said actually is much later than Volume 1, so I'm sorry. But I'm hoping that gets better. And also, I mean, none of us are perfect, and a lot of us do make the mistake of trusting the wrong people. But it's just really hard to see when we as the reader know who is like scum pretty much, and that a character that we want to root for is trusting the scumbag. Like, it's very hard. But yeah, I hate Prince Vasily and his dirtbag children, both of them. Well, technically there's 3, which again, the older sibling gets cut out of the adaptation, which again is kind of understandable because he's sort of doesn't seem important. But yeah, I hate Prince Vasily, Kuragan, and his dirtbag children. I completely and utterly despise Prince Andrei's father, older Nikolai Bolkonsky. Do not like him at all. Love Princess Marya a lot, which is great because that's how I feel about her in the adaptation. I actually really, in the adaptation, I was like, I liked Mademoiselle Bourienne, and I just thought that she was led astray by the villain Anatole. But in the book, I kind of hate her because she really seems like she went after Anatole knowing full well what was going to happen. It seems like she like went into that head on and was like, oh, I absolutely don't mind stealing him from my friend because then I'll have position and I'll fall in love, and that really, really bothered me. So I don't like Mademoiselle Bourienne in the book at all. Andrei's wife, I like a bit more in the book than I did in the adaptation, but not to the point of her being a character who I truly, deeply care about. Meh. Yeah. I would say that's about it. One thing that surprised me overall, was, that I also thought was actually really cool, was Tolstoy's descriptions of Nikolai and Andrei's thoughts, both when they're in battle. Nikolai gets this deep, loving devotion for the sovereign of Russia, in battle, but it's so weird because it was like this moment where he didn't really feel that way. Like, he was like, oh, he's my sovereign, he's cool, I love him. But then all of a sudden it was like this all-consuming, passionate love of, I would not only die for this man. At one point he said something like, I would not only die for this man, but I would beat the crap out of someone for him, like in front of him, and I would let him watch and I would let him be happy about it or something like that. And I was like, whoa, hang on, hold up. So that was really surprising, but it was very interesting because I feel like a lot of, I don't know, I feel like maybe a lot of people would have felt that way, or a lot of young men. I mean, it was a very intense emotion, but I was like, you know, I feel like when you're fighting for your country, that's probably, but I was very surprised that it was solely for this person rather than the country itself. And the thing is, a lot of people who talk about War and Peace, and a lot of the criticism that Tolstoy got when he wrote it is a lot of people were like, this isn't how this happened, because it was like Tolstoy had romanticized that history, or like what had happened. And he said, I think Tolstoy's argument was, this was how I saw things from my point of view. This was my experience with everything that happened. And I thought that was very interesting. When I've watched reviews and people have said that that was the controversy, and then that was Tolstoy's response to it. And I'll probably read all the stuff in the back of this that talks about all that, but I haven't yet because I didn't want to read that first in case it spoiled certain things. But yeah, I was very surprised by that intense feeling. It kind of shocked me a little. And then the thing with Andre that I was so surprised about is he was always thinking about how to get one step ahead of everyone else in his military career. And it was very interesting. At one point, he said something about, like, not loving or caring about anyone around him, only caring about his progression. That's not the word. I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for, but rising in his military career, basically. Ascension? I don't know. But yeah, that kind of shocked me too. Like, in the beginning of the book, he's very reserved and everything, but I never got the impression that he didn't love the people around him, I guess. But again, that's why I really like him at the very end of Volume 1, because something happens that makes him change his entire opinion on that. Like, he changes his whole point of view of life. And so I just thought that was really, really great. So yeah, those were the two things that I was very shocked about as far as the battle scenes went, were Nikolai and Andrei's thoughts and feelings on the battlefield. And one thing overall about when they were talking about, or when Tolstoy was talking about all the battle stuff, I couldn't help but be reminded of a line from The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak that really, when I was reading some of these descriptions in this book, it just made me want to cry, because I couldn't help but think of this line, which is, Death is the narrator in Book Thief, and he says at one point, young men think they're running at each other, but really they're running at me. And that line is so powerful, and that is just what I kept thinking while reading pretty much any of the battle scenes in this book, and it was really emotional. But I kind of loved it, to be truthful. Not like, you know, that they were killing each other, but I just loved the emotions that I was feeling. Sometimes you like feeling sad when you're supposed to. So yeah. That's everything that I felt about Volume 1. Let me know what y'all's thoughts are. And please let me know if I got anything wrong about, like, Tolstoy and all that stuff, because this is just what I have heard based on other reviews. So, yes. Let me know what you think of all this, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.